Good morning, everybody. Welcome to First Church, First Center here in New York City. Special welcome to our in-house audience, Celia and Judith, and anyone coming in the door now. And to all of you who are watching on the social platforms. We know you're watching. We get your comments every week, and so we're grateful that you're watching with us too. And then our large number of Zoom participants. I know there's newcomers, so I want to give a special welcome to all of you. Thanks to Kat, who did the treatment for this morning. It was really good to hear you. I said last week I was going to start off each Sunday with some good news somewhere, because I've been watching too much television. And I learned years ago, they don't put good news on TV, not usually. Mostly it's sensational stuff and it gets played and played and played again. So when I was looking for what good news happened on today's date, last week there was like dozens of things. This week there were I could find 4 things. So I'll just mention them. On this day, the city of Boston was founded. You might not know that. Can you guess what year it would have been? 1631. On this day, the Peace of Paris was signed, officially ending the American Revolutionary War. If you can guess that date, 1783. And in 1909, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, as most would know, was founded here in New York City. And then there's a bunch of lesser things, but that's enough. That's my promise. We're going to start off with some good news. I couldn't find anything locally for this week. So I want to move in today's lesson. Jimmy already announced it. I was going through a lot of talks, lessons, readings this week, and I stumbled upon a book that I had read by Dr. Grayson many years ago. And I read it. It was called The 10 Demandments, and it was coincidental that I met him the same year. And there was a lot of good that he had in that book. So I thought I'd use some of his material today and mix it up, modernize it. So here we go. Dr. Grayson, by the way, was the second pastor here in New York. He wrote the book, The 10 Demandments, and I think he wrote 1 or 2 other books. The lesson I was working with was entitled Fresh Starts and New Beginnings, and I think the message is timeless. Our teaching is always supported, it's always about rather being in a new moment, and stopping the story. You hear me talk about the story. Well, the story is just the stuff that you keep on saying habitually. Sometimes you don't even check it out to see if it's true. I had a great therapist years ago who would say, check it out. And she would say that to all the group participants. And by that, she was trying to say to us, just listen to yourself and ask yourself, is what I'm saying really true? And we have a lot of habituated thoughts and thinking, and it might do us some good to challenge some of that stuff, because if you're just repeating something that your mother or father said that they probably learned from their grandparents or something like that, it's like almost like prejudice, because you've made an assumption and you're repeating something, and you're not really inquiring within if this really is true or true anymore. So this was part of everything I'm going to say today was a mixture of Stuart Grayson and my thoughts. So this is Grayson, where he said, each day we celebrate a new day, a dawn. New moments, I would add, and we attempt to be in that kind of consciousness where we can ready ourselves to see what's new and what's good. Being in a new moment without all the habitual thinking and the stored beliefs, and stories can be a challenge, because, you remember Ram Dass, who wrote that book, Be Here Now. Well, it sounds easy. Everyone loved the saying. I read the book. But being here and fully present in this moment without opinion or story about people, because it's tough to encounter a person freshly. We carry a lot of stuff. It was Ernest Holmes who said we carry around a lot of dead weight, dead wood. He actually called them corpses. And what he was getting at would be, you've just been through a lot of things with, say, the person you love or the person you live with or your aunt, your mother, your brother. And it's really challenging to be in a new moment with them and drop all that stuff so you can experience them and yourself in a new moment together. So Dr. Grayson was hitting on that, and I amplify it. We carry around that type of habitual thinking and beliefs, preconceived ideas. Now, I've got a little list of things just to flesh it out for you a little bit that can stop you from moving forward. And this will tie in a little bit to what Louise Hay would say, because she said, all these limiting beliefs we have. Here's examples. You might be thinking on some level that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, or you're not worthy in some way, worthy to have a decent relationship or any kind of success. You might not tell anybody in the world, but you might think to yourself, I can't do anything right. You might be thinking, I'm not capable of getting where I need to go or where I want to go. And some of you might even be thinking, I will fail, or I always seem to fail. I screw things up. Or again, I'm not good enough. Or when it comes to love, you might think you're unlovable, or some people might not, it's tied into self-esteem. They don't feel they're worthy. Or you don't deserve to be happy. Or you're not capable of making a difference in whatever it is you're doing. And there's a couple more. I'm not strong enough to handle life's challenges. And here's a few more examples I looked up last night. I'm not capable of achieving my dreams. Or you might be thinking, I'll never be successful. I don't have what it takes. Or you might have because you've not succeeded, you've failed. You might even go to the extreme and think, I'm always going to fail at something. I'm too old, I don't matter, I don't have the right skills. Some of you have had, some miserable relationships, might say, I'm destined to be by myself. I just can't do relationships. So these are all examples of the type of stuff that lives inside of people. And you can be making affirmations forever, and your affirmations really won't do a lot because you've got this underlying set of beliefs. And that's the stuff that we're always looking at. And we're not looking at it to be critical of ourselves, but we're just looking at it to be aware. Because if we have those negatives running underneath the surface in your quiet moments, you don't tell people that you don't feel adequate or good enough, but you're feeling lonely, like nobody loves you. And if this is what's living underneath, then you're really in the right place, because what we do every week is we help you, we remind you of the truth of who you are, because you're really, you're amazing, you're great, you're an individualization of God life, and the thing is, you're here to thrive and to soar and to be successful, and anything we do here, every type of gathering or group is here to remind you of how, how special, how wonderful, and the truth of what you are and who you are. So I just gave you examples of negative thinking, or what we used to call in the programs years ago, stinking thinking. And that stuff is powerful if it's living inside of you. So we want to get a handle on it and stop it, neutralize it. Today with Dr. Grayson, we're talking about the importance of making a new beginning or a fresh start, and to get a handle on that inner dialogue that we all have. I talk about it every Thursday night. Now you understand the reason why. That's the thing that creates your life. It's what you live with you 24 hours a day, right? 7 days a week. And that dialogue, when you're by yourself, it's so creative. And only you know what it's like. So that's the question every Thursday night when I ask, what's it like being you? Dr. Grayson next went into, have you ever had to start your life over? Have you ever had to begin again? And he commented he has said he had to do so 3 times, that he could think of maybe more. And I thought about it too. I said, yeah, I've done that about 3 times also. Now, if you're a younger viewer, that you may not have done that yet, but if you've been around a while, something stops working well, and you make a decision and you do something else, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's changing an occupation. Sometimes it's a relationship. It could be anything. This is 2023, and the world seems to be spiraling. It's rapidly changing. Workforces have changed. New kinds of businesses are needed, new kinds of enterprises. Old occupations that you might have worked in for 20 years are no longer necessary. And so new industries are being created overnight, and we can find ourselves like, where am I in all of this? What can I do? How can I participate in life? Every one of us are challenged daily to meet new circumstances. If you think about it, you've always been dealing with change. If you look back in your life, it's the nature of life, by the way. That's what it does. It moves forward. And it moves forward with or without our consent. So it's smart of us to realize that, it's a constant. And, if you really want to be, winning in the game of life, you want to try to be in tune with it and try to see the good in everything, in the changes themselves. Dr. Grayson was wondering what spiritual centers or churches would look like in the future. He could never know, nor can we know what they will be like, say, in another 20 years, right? Spiritual centers and churches have, they've not been doing well the past 20 years, plain and simple. Not just New Thought centers, but any of them and all of them. There's a great interest in energy and spirituality in the world, and an interest in connecting with like-minded people. You see loads of people joining every kind of group now, everywhere, Meetup and other places. There's a yearning to connect with like-minded people. So, if you're attempting to figure out what to do with a center or a church like we are in New York, we've got to be having our ears to the ground and trying to figure out what the future needs, what the future wants, and we try to serve the people they're coming up. So we're always learning to adapt and learn new skills so that we can accommodate and help the people. Today we do so virtually. Usually, recently there's 80 people, 90 people, 100 people sometimes on the calls, and then when we're here on the other platforms, there's hundreds more. So we've had a steep learning curve here, and we want to invite all of you into our classes, if Jimmy hasn't already mentioned. Wednesday night there's a creative living class that we have Solomon currently facilitating, and we will have other facilitators. And Thursday night we have a self-esteem class, which has been going on for years, and that's using Louise Hay's material. And if you stay with that class, you will really start to learn the basics of the teaching. And from there, there's more to learn if you want. We'll have other classes. So we want to make a fresh start. I would encourage anybody to tune in Thursday in particular and Sunday and just start to let the ideas wash over you, because we'll always bring up things that it'll land on you in a different way than it might in someone else. And you might think, oh yeah, I do this. Oh yeah, I could do something different. Because at least here, we're always going to tell you that you are, again, a part of the one. You are one with the one. And you have within you spirit, which is always trying to guide you if you will listen. So once again, I want to welcome any of you. I know people are still signing on today, and I encourage you to keep plugging in, coming back, because no matter what's running underneath with you, the old tapes, we're going to keep on reminding you that you are a spiritual being and how great you are. And maybe when you hear it enough, you'll start to believe it, and then you'll start to see it. Each of us are an inlet and outlet of spirit. Each of us are one with it. I noticed when Jimmy was opening today, he said the Lord. And that's an old term. We use terminology here that's a little bit different. Because we know that the God or the source, that we talk about, the energy, is everywhere present. It's not necessarily above. It's above, but it's here. It's in the people here in this room. It's in me. It's in you. It's in everyone. So this idea of the Lord, or this consciousness of God, is present everywhere. So we have those words. I don't know if I pronounced them correctly. Omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, which would suggest it's everywhere, and it's in you, and it's all intelligence, and it's present in you. And you can, once you meditate on that and you realize that you have it within you, your whole world can open up. You have everything you need. So we've been through a pandemic, you all know that. Many thousands of people, during that time learned how to reach out through Zoom and social media, and they've learned how to connect with like-minded people, as I said before, and support groups of every kind. Dr. Grayson commented that it seems like things are speeding up, and I was thinking, he had no idea. But he knew that it was happening, right? And he said the inevitable happens, and change is going to happen, with or without your approval. Because, and he said it can bring uncertainty and it can bring fear. It requires people to step out of their comfort zones and learn new skills, new abilities to adjust to a new reality. And there will always be new reality. It can also cause people to feel fear or overwhelmed or stressed as they try to adapt to new situations. Finally, change can disrupt existing routines. It can disrupt relationships, and it can leave people, momentarily feeling lost and out of control. Now, that won't happen to you so much if you stay involved in a teaching like this, because we're going to keep on reminding you of all these things. It's part of life. It's fine. You're going to be okay in it, but you really want to, have that internal dialogue, be open and receptive to change. A few of you on the call have been in the teaching a while, and you tell me you absolutely love change, but I can promise you, you are not the majority. People in general like guarantees. They like guaranteed income. They like assurances. They want to know people will never leave, or some of you don't like changing, I look at myself in the mirror, who is that person? We change, and some people just can't deal with it. They don't like it. And I don't know that I love it exactly, but you've got to get good with it. And so we have this great unfolding life, right? And it brings us change and endless opportunities for transformation and growth. So starting here and starting now, we want to be good with change. We really want to get to a point where we embrace it. I have a few affirmations that will help you embrace change. Select the one you like, maybe write it down, or create one of your own is always better. Here they are. I'm open to change, and I embrace change with great enthusiasm. You could put that on your mirror or wherever you want. Or number 2, I trust that change will bring me closer to my desired outcomes. I am confident and capable of adapting to a changing environment. 4, I honor and appreciate the value of change in my life. Another, I am excited to explore the opportunities and possibilities that change brings. 6, I'm willing to let go of what no longer serves me and create something new. And the one I always say to myself for all these years, I have the willingness to be in a new moment. That one means I have the willingness to drop the story, to be in forgiveness, and just let it all go, as Louise would say. I read Dr. Grayson's book, and I happened to meet him years ago, as I mentioned. And at that time, he was really hoping that he said Oprah's people would discover his book. In fact, he had sent it into Oprah's people. She must have a division there. And he wanted his message to reach a larger audience. He said, Greg, we never know what's going to happen. I, like Dr. Grayson, would like to think that our message here at First Church will permeate the internet everywhere, and our message will get out to help people everywhere. I've oftentimes thought of writing a book about my experience. It's like 30 years of experience teaching this teaching, but I never seem to get around to it. I've started a couple times. I've always been too involved in actually teaching the teaching and doing the work. So maybe that's going to be my contribution. It makes me happy to know that we managed now to reach thousands of people. We have reached thousands of people during the past couple of years, and this is absolutely remarkable because when I came here, we were reaching a very small audience. So none of us could have ever predicted any of this. You know, we just kept working with it, and we keep working with it, and we keep changing. And if something doesn't work, we try something else. And I think that's, if you do that in your own life, it's pretty healthy. You know, you just keep trading in. I had a teacher, Dr. Bill, who used to say, we trade in the lesser for the greater. You just, okay, this doesn't work, we try something else. We had another expression, we're doing important work, you know, and we won't come down. So in other words, just stay in the game and keep being positive, you know, live your life affirmatively. We teach affirmative living here. So this is great. I mean, I believe what we're doing here is what Dr. Grayson really wanted to achieve. I don't think he was necessarily looking for personal fame. He was wanting to have a larger platform and get the message out. So it's a different time. Things are far, no one could have imagined, he could not have imagined, no one could. Virtual communities now are the thing, and we're one of the leading ones now in the country in terms of getting this message out. I really think Dr. Grayson was hoping his message would get out in a big way, and he was really proud of the book, The 10 Commandments, and I recommend it to any serious student. I'm glad I read it before I met him, because I enjoyed it, and then I was able to tell him that I did. His book, like today's lesson, attempts to tell people how to thrive in a world of constant change, how to adapt to a rapid change in the modern world. Those were his words. The book also provides detailed strategies on how to stay ahead of the curve and take advantage of opportunities created by change. He hoped to help readers to develop the skills necessary to adapt to a changing world. Doesn't that sound like what we do here? I have the same hope that our message in the 2020s goes far and wide. I know it is all over the country, and we even get comments from different parts of the world. It's being picked up on YouTube now. You can listen to any of these broadcasts on YouTube and Facebook after the fact, and other platforms. I'm sure our message is going to be helping people long after this broadcast for years to come, and that makes me feel happy. If nothing else, the message goes out, and just like Louise Hay's work, she's gone now, but my God, her work is still helping people. We have now 150 people or so signing on every single week, wanting to learn the principles that she taught. Knowing that we're doing what we are that can help people now and in the future is something to be proud of. So all of you who support this center and this work, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping keep that message alive. And so we're grateful to you, and you can know you're doing something good to support something that helps people all over the world. Today, with this message, it's about new beginnings, fresh starts. I'm giving you some of Dr. Grayson's thoughts, again, mixed with my own. So he's talking about starting again, starting here, starting now, and said, today is a day of new beginnings, a day of infinite possibilities. The world was a bit smaller when Dr. Grayson first delivered his lesson, but we teach the same thing, which is we always have infinite access to spirit. We have power we can use, we have power that heals, power that corrects, power that remedies, and we can use this power. And the world has always been changing and evolving. We're now living in a global society with unprecedented access to knowledge, unprecedented access to resources and opportunities. As a result, there are seemingly endless possibilities for us to explore. So when you're sitting alone and saying life is over, can't happen, and this can't happen, you're in that negative thing, just stop it and tell yourself, that's not true. I could do this. I could see peace instead of this. I don't have to hang on to the resentment. I can join in groups. There's so many things you can do. You can literally change the channel on the negativity. If you're addicted to TV and you're watching a bunch of stuff that's just, if it's news, I promise you, they don't put good news on the news, usually. So change the channel, literally, read a book, listen to something that, is uplifting on YouTube or Audible. Just be smart enough to put your attention in some place that, you can commune with a bigger idea that will lift you up. So we have endless possibilities to explore. Our lives are no longer confined to our local surroundings. We now have an entire world at our fingertips to explore, discover, and to take advantage of. Who would know that it would be like this now? Sometimes I go to TED Talks. I go to TED Talks for humor. I go to TED Talks for inspiration. Yet you're not just limited to our textbook. You can expand your consciousness in 1,000 different ways. But you have to have the desire. You have to get out of the rut. The rut will be, over and over. It's like a loop, a negative loop, an old tape. So we want to release all that stuff and think, look, I'm destined for greater things. And the spirit within you is encouraging you to expand and explore. If you come into this teaching and develop some awareness of the power that you have, when you connect with that power and align yourself with it, the whole world opens up to you. Today, this day, could be the day that you create an entirely new future for yourself. And you might say, oh, but he says that every week. I say it every week because it's true. You can stay on the negative side of life if you want to and do ain't it awful and poor me, but where does that take you, right? I keep on being reminded of a friend of mine who passed away in 1990, and he challenged me once. He said, this is not a dress rehearsal. He says, this is it. This is your life. So, you can feel sorry for yourself and you explain, well, I'm this way because and someone did something to me and all of that. I'm not saying those things didn't happen. But the thing is, you are a being of God. You are connected with the universe. You are an individualization of this stuff. And you can step out of any set of circumstances and create a better experience. But you got to want to, right? You got to make a fresh start. Barker, Raymond Charles, said, yesterday ended last night. Well, yeah, it did, unless it didn't. I mean, in other words, if you're carrying I hate to say crap in church, but if you're carrying all that stuff with you and you keep carrying it with you, then you're going to just keep creating the same old stuff. So stop. Once you're mindful that you're doing it, gently and lovingly, say, I release the need to do this. I know I'm whole and complete, I'm supplied and supported, and get back on the positive track. We want to develop the kind of consciousness that's creative enough and alive enough that will embrace change, knowing always that we're supplied so we can be with faith. And, we're connected. I know I'm with God, and I know God is with me, this power, this energy. And if you know you have that connection, you will move forward. Our goal as we practice this teaching is to have a consciousness and an attitude that allows really new moments, free of hurt, free of grievance, free of judgment. I've been facilitating these groups for many, many years, and I know the kind of thoughts that people have because people tell me. People have a lot of doubt. People wonder if it's too late. They wonder if they can live without a person who's gone. They wonder if they can find any happiness at this stage in their life. They wonder if they can go forward with their present health and circumstances. Or maybe they've suffered a large loss. If that's the case, it's tough, I know, but eventually we have to try to engage and get past our past, which is a whole nother lesson that I will do one day. Some of you might think, well, it's easy for you to say, Greg, you've been working with this for a long time. And I'm going to say, listen, I have been working with it a long time, but every day, I'm confronted with different things, and I have to shift gears and remember, I'm supplied and supported, and if I'm in a negative state of mind, I need to stop it and neutralize it and get back on track. Or you might be thinking of other people who you see on the call or in life. It seems like they have a charmed existence. And you compare yourself to them, and you'll say, well, they always had this or they always had that. And when you're doing that, you're somehow putting yourself in a position where you're not okay when you compare yourselves to other people. Whatever they have, whatever it is, it's because you might think that it's because they had these advantages. My simple answer to that is you have it also. You have unlimited power within you. If you stay with us long enough and start to practice it, start to believe it, you're going to start to see some really amazing things. I don't want to talk so much about COVID times next, except to say people have gone through an awful lot in the past few years, and we've never seen, at least in my lifetime, anything quite like it. It had an impact on the collective psyche of people all around the world. It has highlighted the need for people to remain strong and to be adaptable in times of change and adversity. It's encouraged people to focus on what's most important and make the most out of each day. Hopefully that's happened for you. It's drawn a lot of people closer to one another. It's brought a lot of people to our teaching. Our teaching is the perfect teaching in terms of dealing with any and all of this, because we stay focused on the day we're in. We stay focused on what's good. We train ourselves to see the good in ourselves and others. That's what we do. We are the guardians. We are the guardians at the gate. So what I mean by that is, that comes, I think, from Florence Scovel Shinn. I am the guardian at the gate, meaning I get to decide what I'm going to entertain. I get to decide what I'm going to observe and what I'm going to watch. I get to decide what I'm going to say. I get to correct myself when I'm off track. Or I can just let it all, You have the power to create your life, to write the script, You might say, but my life has been this and it's that. You have the ability, because you're writing the script, to change it today, to make a fresh start. You really do decide what you dwell on and what you let in. You can simply tune out a lot of stuff that you entertain, so you can gain control over conditions, as you start to become a little bit more mindful. After the pandemic, it's reminded us also to be mindful of our mental health and to take time to look after ourselves. It's also taught us the importance of human connection, and many of us have reevaluated our priorities over the past few years. We at the center receive a lot of calls, it seems now every week, from people who are going through changes. And we offer encouragement and support and counsel wherever we can, or we help people find other resources. Dr. Grayson's question, which seems appropriate, relevant all these years later, is, can you begin again? And hopefully the answer is an enthusiastic yes for you. Starting here, starting now, for the extended audience. Are you willing? Can you begin again? Are you willing to let it all go, all the old stuff, and begin again? If you're saying yes, then develop a plan. What's your plan? For some of you, it might be, I'm going to be committed to staying positive. I'm going to be committed to stop the negative chatter. Others, my plan is I'm going to make a call and I'm going to volunteer someplace. I'm going to do something different to get out of this place in my consciousness that's, maybe not positive. What's your plan? Some of you are losing your jobs aren't what you want. I have a couple of friends. And whatever it is, stop thinking of yourself as a limited being. Put a demand on consciousness. Spirit will give you ideas. Follow up on the ideas. Take the risk, which Dr. Grayson will talk about in a moment more. Dr. Grayson had a plan for making a fresh start, and I'm going to share it with you today. Here it is. Take a risk, based on the truth that you deeply know. Summon the courage to take the first step. You've heard said before, a journey of 1,000 miles begins what? With a single step. Take the risk. The first step is always going to be the most important one. Pick up the phone and make that call. Go somewhere where you need to go. If it's a relationship issue, not everybody's going to wait for 20 years for somebody to, take the risk. Whatever it is, the whole universe supports you, by the way, if you do any type of healing activity. So take the risk, I know it's a lot to take that first step, but that's his encouragement. The most daunting tasks can be achieved if we take small steps and we remain focused and persistent. Before you do, you might want to meditate a little bit or do an affirmative prayer and bring yourself to the point where you really know that you are connected with life, with Source, where you really can sense you're supplied and supported. Then take that step. Nothing's going to change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Take the risk based upon knowing, based upon having that connection. Unless you invest a little bit of time and effort, you can't get a return, he said. You must have heard this before. You've got to expend something, give something, to obtain something. So we live in a world that moves quickly, warp speed. We can make a lot of changes happen very fast ourselves. He said, success on the outer isn't the answer either, because we can all buy a lot of things, whether we can afford them or not. We can buy a lot of things, but ultimately that will not bring us happiness. Even a new girlfriend or boyfriend, or we're going to make a, geographical cure to a different place. That doesn't bring satisfaction ultimately either. We need to make our changes based upon our inner knowing, inner sense of what's good and good for us and what's true for us. We begin to understand in our teaching that we are one with Spirit, we're one with a higher power. It's indwelling. And we want you to bring the awareness of that connection into your consciousness when you make decisions. Please just don't react to stuff. Take the time to be mindful, because Spirit is always with you, and it will guide you if you allow it. You're not flying solo. Dr. Grayson said, you don't have to fly solo when you can be guided in first class. So if you're flying solo, you're just reacting. And he says, if you tune in, you don't have to fly solo when you can be guided in first class. Invite Spirit in. Be aware of its presence. Invite it in. And then number 2, he said, this is it. This is your time, your glorious life. Right here, right now, starting today, let yourself know and say to yourself in some way, this is my day. And if not now, when? It's important to remember to take action and make the most of our day, most of our time. We're encouraged to be proactive and seize the moment. Take that risk. We never know when our opportunities may pass us by. Please don't be a person who's so afraid. So much good is being presented to you, and you just say no to it. Say to yourself, I am open and receptive to my good. The good old days that people talk about are always here now, by the way. So let's be aware of that. Be still and know this ability, this presence, this activity is within you. It doesn't get any better than that if you understand that I have the power. It's in me, operating through me, as me. Once you have this knowledge, Spirit in me, as me, things begin to change. It's always attempting to get your attention. I think it was Emerson who would say it's always wooing you. If something's bothering you in your consciousness and you know you're not really living the way you want to, it's gnawing at you. The universe is there trying to get your attention. So meditate a little bit, inquire within, because you are an inlet and outlet of it, and it will guide you. Someone said to me years ago, you have an internal guidance system, and that is Spirit. You have it. Now, whether you listen to it or not is a whole other question. I know most everybody on this call wants to expand, wants to be happy, wants to level up and trust the universe. So let us affirm, this is my day, and I intend to grow. I intend to expand. I intend to be consistent. And remember that life is responding to me. Starting here, starting now, I'm going to make a greater effort to stay centered in this awareness. I'm going to stay plugged in, starting here, starting now. I hope you're embracing life and trying to see the good in yourselves and others, because that's really the thing. That's really the practice in a nutshell. I hope you're embracing life and trying to see the good in yourself and others always. Choosing to see the good in yourself, choosing to love yourself, choosing to forgive yourself, choosing to love others, choosing to forgive others. This is the work we do, and it's all entirely up to you. You can practice stopping the negative chatter, and you can practice seeing the good in people, places, and things. My question, as you all know who tune in on Thursday every night, what's it been like being you? What's that conversation been like? Have you been kinder to yourself? Have you been kinder to yourself and others? Have you been giving people the benefit of the doubt? Have you been seeing the good? Are you realizing how wonderful they are and you are, even with, you might say, their faults and your faults? Are you realizing that you are a spiritual being and so are they? You can have this consciousness, this beautiful consciousness, in a life filled with peace, gratitude, and positive expectancy. You can definitely have it and experience it. You know, if you have a lot of negative self-talk going on, stop. You know, I invoke Diana Ross. Stop in the name of love. Just wherever you find yourself going to the negative, stop. Dr. Grayson next asks, what matters to you? The quality of your life or the amount of success you have? With our teaching, we can wake up and discover who we have come here to be. Truth students, New Thought students are practicing, they're really practicing living the affirmative life. We're committed to free ourselves of old stories, free ourselves of all the negatives, and be in new moments. And I realize this is scary stuff for some people. Opening the doors to self-fulfillment and greater self-expression can be scary. If you continue to play your life very, very safe and you don't want to try anything new, he said you die a little bit each day. So try something new. Pick up the phone, call somebody that you haven't spoken to for a long time. Heal some relationships, or at least make the effort to try to. It doesn't matter what happens on the other side. But you know, whatever you can do to be in connection with yourself and know that Spirit is a part of you, and you can reach out to other people, do those things. There's some things to assess and consider. There are things you can do. Starting here, starting now, he said. People are drawn to new thought on a deep level. They develop a greater commitment to themselves and their personal evolution and transformation. And people who are drawn to the teaching really do some work on themselves, probably because they're clear that they can do it. There's a desire to move towards self-mastery. There's a desire to let go of the stuff that just seems to be the chatter. You know, and especially as you mature, you think, I don't have the time for all this. And if you practice this teaching, you know, to any extent, he said there are inner riches that will come to you. As we do the inner work, the awareness of this connection that we possess will express and will show up all over the place. The conditions in your life will greatly improve, and that can be in terms of relationships, health, wealth, and everything else. It's, again, entirely up to you, as you will come to realize in our teaching. There are people who feel blessed. There are people in the world who would feel blessed if they just had a nice place to live without worry or stress, without worry about personal sickness or sickness in their family. They would just feel blessed. They would feel blessed if they weren't worrying about inflation and running out of money. And you can have all of this. You can have this type of contentment. It's up to us, though, you know, and whatever we have, we bless. You know, we bless the health that we have. We bless the supply we have. We're grateful for the friends that we have. We're grateful for our consciousness. We're grateful that we can be the ones that can make a connection and that can offer peace and can forgive. There's a lot of people who can't do any of those things, but you can. Those of you who are really in this teaching, you know you can. So take a risk. Ernest Holmes and Louise said, and all the New Thought greats said, it's up to you. Those are probably the truest words I've ever heard. So much of our life, our precious life, is entirely up to us and how we think. We are writing the script. As we describe ourselves, we're creating people to be whatever we create them to be as we describe them. Life responds to us. So you can make a fresh start today if you really want to. I remember an adage from a 12-step program, which is apt. It says, you will be amazed before you're halfway through. You will be. If you start working with this teaching, you're going to see changes, and they happen quite quickly. And you can keep making fresh starts each and every day. And if you start off the morning and it doesn't go well, then you start the day over. You keep making the fresh starts until you have the demonstration that you're looking for. So starting now, ladies and gentlemen, here in our extended audience all over the world, what's it going to be? Let's say this is a new day. Let's say we're going to have a new beginning, starting here, starting now. Today can and is a new beginning for every one of us. We could have new moments, fresh moments with a new start. The question is, are you willing to let go of the past? Are you willing to let go of the prejudices and the anger and the resentments? Are you willing to be in a new moment, starting here, starting now? Are you willing to forgive yourself and others? If we consider some of the lessons of history, we seem to notice now more than ever how quickly life is changing. It seems to be happening faster and faster. Each of you have the capacity to begin a new chapter in your life. And that doesn't matter if you're 8 or you're 80. Start here, start now. For some of you it will be the discovery, and for some of you it will be the rediscovery of what is within you. And allow that to come forward and inform you. I often say willingness is the key. So wake up, let go of the stuff that's holding you back. Most of you have an idea of the things that are holding you back. Just say, look, I release the need for this. I release the need for this. And start working with your positive affirmations and knowing that the universe supports every loving thing you do. That would be a fresh start and a new beginning. Get involved, get plugged in. Best insurance policy I can say for anybody who's new is just stay plugged into these calls, because you might say, well, he's saying the same thing as, yeah, we are. We're teaching principle, and we're always going to be teaching you that you're supplied and supported. And as you join in with like-minded people, you're going to hear other people, and you're going to understand that the whole universe is supporting you moving forward. You don't wind up in calls like this by accident. We understand that this is a new era, and our new era comes about by thinking new thoughts and expanding our thinking. Starting here, we can always begin a new pattern in consciousness. It's done by us in mind. And that's in mind with a capital M, meaning the mind of the universe. This starts a fresh surge of energy in the direction of a goal. This is, I think, where I first heard Dr. Grayson. I heard this saying before. Put a demand on consciousness. So what that means is you have the power to initiate something with your conscious mind. Put a demand on consciousness. Don't wait for conditions to improve or things to change. So many times we wait for the perfect moment. I'll do this when I lose 20 pounds. I'll do this when that happens. Put a demand on consciousness now. Don't wait for the perfect moment. We live in perfect moments, and there are times for us to be ready to make important decisions. You have within you power and great resources, more power than you could ever need. You will learn how to trust the power and use the power. We intend to learn how to act and to do the right thing at the right time with spiritual confidence. We release the need to wonder or worry about what other people are thinking or whether they approve or not. Many of us have spent many years wondering about what other people might say or think. Stop that too. Dr. Grayson said he was so victimized by the opinions and beliefs of life and authorities, it just almost destroyed him, and he had to stop. What you want to do instead, rather than being wondering about what people are thinking, is learn to inquire within. If I only knew then what I know now, I guess we can all say that. There is that which is within us that knows. And I think Reverend Theo used to say, there is that which is within us that knows and shows. It shows. The starting point for everything is right here. We recognize the source of all life. We recognize it. We call it spirit. We know that there's a power, and that power is everywhere. And it's in us. It's the creative force of the universe. And we're part of us. It lives within us. It creates and it shows up through all of us. It expresses by means of our thought. We can be in awe and appreciate the power that we have. Ernest Holmes certainly was. He was in awe of it. He said, "We have such power we can use. This is one of the greatest and best kept secrets. God in you, that we have the power we can use." We're so involved in what the subconscious does. Metaphysicians have been describing it for years. Dr. Holmes said what's equally important is to appreciate and realize and respect our conscious minds. I mean, because when you initiate everything in your conscious mind, that's the part of you that selects new ideas and chooses them. There's power for the good, and we can use it with our conscious minds. So let's search, let's think, let's reason, let's experiment. Let's start choosing better thoughts, right? The conscious mind is the one that selects. With our words, with the words we speak, that's our conscious mind in operation, and it's important. Most people don't realize how important their thoughts are. That's why I ask you, what's it been like being you? Because these thoughts that are running through your mind are creative, because the subconscious will receive every last one of them and act upon them. Our thinking is so important. The creative law of life resides essentially in the subconscious mind. It receives your thoughts, your inner dialogue, your feelings, and it acts upon them 24 hours a day. Don't think the universe doesn't receive your prayers, because it acts upon everything you think and feel. So we begin to understand that the conscious mind is what we're working with, our thinking, our words. We don't need to pray hard. We don't need to plead and beg a God above, because this is an internal process. We don't have to do a lot of heavy work. We do our work in consciousness. It doesn't need all that stuff that we used to do maybe when we were children. Pay attention to your words, pay attention to your thinking, because your subconscious mind will accept it and then begins to act upon it. Let's go back again to the idea of planting a seed in the garden. We often use this example. We don't force it. We can't make anything grow. Extra prayers and rituals will have no effect. We don't do anything. We plant the seeds and we trust. It's an automatic natural law that's in action. Our thoughts and our feelings operate always deep within us. If you're in a place where you're being self-critical or judgmental of other people, stop, please. The thing is to realize that you're blocking yourself when you do that from receiving good. All experiences are effects of your thoughts, and they just come back to you. We want to dissolve ignorance, Dr. Grayson said. And how do we do that? We dissolve ignorance with spiritual realization, by knowing who you are, knowing that you're one with life, and knowing that life responds to you. That's why we practice the teaching. That's why we do affirmative prayer. We keep looking to see the good in ourselves and others. That's our preoccupation, because good is always in other people, and it's always in us. We can focus on what's wrong with us and what's wrong with other people, but that's doing it backwards. We don't wait until things are perfect to practice. Starting here, starting now, you say to yourself, I love myself the way I am. Say to yourself, I am supplied and supported. Keep the vision of yourself as being whole, healthy, loving, and lovable. We are always in the perfect place, perfect time. That kind of awareness dissolves ignorance. It's a process, day by day, each day, moment by moment. We continue to practice and live the affirmative life. Remember, your beliefs are based on past experiences, and oftentimes they're not true anymore. We have the right to change our lives and change our thinking. Dr. Grayson summed it up by saying, there are 3 things that are important if you want to start manifesting, a better life here and now. First, accept that you are where you are because of what you are. So I'm here with all my circumstances because of what I am and what I've thought. I'm here because of what's in my consciousness. And he emphasized it's not anyone's fault. It's not your fault. You've always done the best you could with what you knew. So say, okay, well, this is it. I am where I am because of my awareness and my consciousness, and I can definitely change. Second, understand you can be what you desire to be if you decide to put a demand on consciousness and on the power in your being. Please realize you are an activity. You are an individualization within this great power. You are both an entity yourself and an activity in an infinite being that is ever expressing. 3, know as you change your consciousness and thought patterns through affirmative prayer, you can catapult yourself into a new world filled with wonderful experiences. This activity is not bound by anything that's happened before. You are the right person in the right place at the right time. The prepared mind is the mind that has developed positive expectancy. Shakespeare wonderfully said, "Our doubts are traitors, and they make us lose the good." Our doubts make us lose the good. So step out there in confidence and with faith and take the risk, the spiritual risk. Take the idea today that you are one with Source. That means you're entwined. It means you're always with Source. Spirit is always a part of you. It's not above you in the skies, and it's not beyond you. It is within you. Step out in the world every hour of every day knowing you are supplied and supported. You can't lose with what we teach you. You can't lose with what we use here. Take that risk. Make that fresh start today. Understand that you can't lose when you're united with it. You might say to yourself, I am one with the one. Using the inner power, you will manifest truly great things in all areas of your life. So ends this lesson, and thank you very much.